Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is 4:30 exactly in Central Africa. We are broadcasting from Libreville, Gabon. Welcome on your Pan-African channel, Label Television. Seventh round is a day today, December 17, 2017. It's a day that should remain in your minds, ladies and gentlemen, because it is the first edition of Seventh Round, your TV show program, which decrypts, analysis, and brings to you major information on the African continent, about Africans, on Africans, and for Africans. I am not alone on this set. On my left, you have Mr. Need Gael Bulungi, who is an entrepreneur and swan interpreter. Mr. Need, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome.
Hello, Eva. Well,
how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, and on my right, we have a journalist. You must know his face. His name is Gauthier Perchano Ibwanga. Mr. Gauthier, good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Eva.
So let's talking and let's move straight forward to the first element in this newscast. We are going straight to South Africa. As named Bongeni Buthelezi, this young man is using his art form to help raise awareness around the importance of recycling and saving the environment. He combines his artistic passion with a love for recycling and created a completely new art form in which he melts plastic onto canvas. Ladies and gentlemen, watch this report. Then we will be back for the debate. He combines his artistic passion with a love for recycling and created a completely new art form in which he melts plastics onto canvas. Growing amounts of plastic waste is one of the world's biggest challenges today. Despite its harm on the atmosphere, plastic production is increasing. The sector continues to provide economic growth and job opportunities in many countries, but at the cost of the environment. However, increased efforts to fight climate change has led to more measures around reducing pollution. Recycling has become a key component of these measures. South African-born Bongeni Buthelezi, known as the artist who paints with plastic, is adding his voice to this important issue.
I would say it's plastic collage. I use plastic as a form of paint in my work without actually melting it. I soften it and stick it onto another type of plastic to work with. It's about melting, actually, but not changing the form into a different solution.
It is estimated that there are 8 million tons of waste in the sea, 40% of which was originally dumped on land. Fighting the rising tide of plastic pollution would take a long-term sustainable solution to overcome. Joining the cause here on African soil has become more apparent than history reveals.
Difficult, that is why it took almost 26 years for me, to get to the level where I am right now. I started experimenting with plastics way back in 1991, when, things were not so easy for me to access your traditional materials like oil paints and watercolors. So the easiest was for me to look around and, possibly, use whatever I could find.
In his recent exhibition titled Sugar Tax, Buthelezi used plastic soda bottles and caps to highlight health issues around excessive sugar intake and related diseases like obesity and diabetes. This unexplored art form soon drew the attention of galleries and art critics across the country. Internationally too, Bongeni has exhibited his unique, socially provoked artwork overseas, gracing numerous private and public collections. Being one of the only artists to experiment with plastics, Bongeni has become a pioneer and global icon in the industry. Over the years, his art has received many accolades, but it's taken a long time to get here. Bongeni recalls his early years as a struggling artist who could not make ends meet. Now that he's an accomplished artist, he feels it's important that his art has purpose. Bongeni's new work titled Captured includes the use of fences, gates, locks, and plastics, depicting how South Africans need to make choices to better their future and current circumstances. As art teaches you, he stands by his work being open to different interpretations. So we are back on set after watching this amazing report about the story of this young man. We begin with you, Mr. Perchano. What is your feeling after watching this story?
You know, Eva, what I have to say about it is just a very big wow. I say very big wow because I'm really touched. No, today pollution is a very major issue, very complicated issue, and over the past people have been trying to find some solutions so as to fight this issue. But it was not really they could not achieve, you know, sometimes.
They didn't make a priority out of this.
Of course, they didn't make a priority out of this. And so it's very good to see people now tackling the issue. So what I say, it's just wow. Congratulations for this young African man.
And you, Mr. Nidgael Bulungi, as an entrepreneur, seeing a young African developing this type of talent, which is even useful for the society, how do you feel?
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me on this wonderful platform. That is my first time to visit your TV channel.
It's a pleasure.
Well, I wish I would be back again, you know, to take part in this wonderful debate. So I'm very impressed, you know, the same as Gauthier Perchano, because this man is a pioneer in his way of doing things, and he can inspire many young Africans, you know, those who are artists, that can get involved in doing the same thing that can help, you know, fighting against pollution. Because since the discovery of plastic in the 19th century, so around the 1915s, the mass production of plastic is causing a lot of damage to the earth. So now we're moving to what we call the seventh continent, so which is the pollution, the marine pollution. So it's a very topical issue to debate on today. So I'm very happy.
It's also a very major issue at a time where all the continents and the world as a whole and the leaders of the world are taking major measures in order to tackle the environmental issues, talking about the COP23, the COP21, major issues and major decisions have been taken out of this summit. Mr. Gauthier Perchano, when you watch Bongeni Buthelezi telling us that he has been doing this for 28 years, and it is only now that the fruit of these arts are perceived. How do you feel about the leaders? Because this is an innovation which can help tackle many health issues. We heard in the report that he even uses this art to sensitize people about diseases like obesity and everything which goes around that. What is your impression?
So my impression is that actually this man is a pioneer, first of all. And you know, you've been talking about this COP22 COP, but you know, the major decisions which have always been taken there have not usually been applied on the ground, I mean on the field.
Yes.
And so seeing this young man practicing this type of activity.
And finding solutions.
Finding solutions, you know.
On his own.
Now I can realize something. What I realized is that the solutions are not coming from the politicians now. They are coming from the people. Because there's
individuals and youths who are the future of the continent.
That's it. And now I can realize that there's some kind of awareness of the danger of pollution. Last time I was watching a report where some scientists were debating that actually it's not the activity of men that pollutes the environment. Some have been saying that the earth has a kind of a cycle. You see, at a certain period, the cycle has to turn like when pollution, okay, I mean to say when pollution comes at a very high level, it will at a certain moment trigger, how can I put it? It will trigger
disadvantages to the earth and
of course,
to the environment.
It will not only cause some disadvantages over the earth, but some have been saying that it will purify the earth because it will destroy the earth and then a new earth or a new cycle will begin. Some of the scientists have been saying this, but actually it's not real. It's not real because what we're actually living is kind of the extinction of the human race. And some people have been foreseeing this so far. And for this gentleman from South Africa, what I can say is this is an example to follow. It's just an example. And since we are talking of the lack of employment in Africa and mainly in the youth, this is a source of revenue, because when I see this man today is well known and a lot of people can just follow pace.
Of course, a lot of people in South Africa, and even a lot of people across the African continent, because pollution and environmental questions don't concern only South Africa or even Africa. But now seeing this youth creating art out of waste materials, because we are not only talking about plastic, it is about waste materials in general. Is this not a solution that our leaders in the Central African part of Africa should copy?
Well, first of all, I would like to come on what you've just said about a sort of automatic process of purification of earth that he has on its own, but I think it's a false, for me, reason. It's not a very strong point because for me, I think the most dangerous element in the earth is the human being himself. So today I can just give some figures that more than 84% of all marine mammals, they have a plastic in their stomach, which is becoming very dangerous.
Yes.
And it's killing a lot of species on earth. Around 1.5 million people are dying from plastic pollution. It's something that we should take care of, and
it's an issue which should be taken seriously and more into consideration.
Yes, seriously. And then the problem is a global problem. It's not just the decision makers and all politicians. And people have to feel concerned involved. So Mr. Buthelezi, congratulations for what he's doing, because he understood long in the past that
and he's helping to solve a problem,
yes,
a major problem.
Of course, but he was one of the first young Africans to understand that pollution is a very big issue. We need to address that issue, and then maybe afterwards make money out of this, because today it's becoming famous, and then it's going to inspire a lot of people. So this is great job creation as well. So it's for me, it's a very interesting.
But I have a question still, if I may.
Of course.
Of course, I have a question. You see, what is really interesting with this man is that he goes into the dumps and get the trash, specifically the plastic, and he takes the plastic back in town. So isn't there some kind of displacement of the trash, which is supposed to be out of town? If I take, for example, the case here in Libreville, Mindube is not downtown. Okay, Mindube is some place a little bit far from downtown. I mean,
yes,
a little bit far from the city center. Okay, but isn't it a bit dangerous to go to the dump and get the trash from there and bring it back downtown?
That's why Mr. Buthelezi has to be maybe assisted, and he has to
be more encouraged, I think.
Yes, encouraged, by scientists, showing them good manners of practicing his job, and providing some safety measures, so that you cannot be maybe contaminated, or bring some dangerous. Things, dirt or things, from the disposal place to maybe to the city. So maybe just to take some sanitary or health measures, to protect himself and then also environment. So he needs to be encouraged, to be supported, by scientists as well.
But I think practicing for more than 28 years, he has gained into experience, and he must surely have learned how to manage these different issues. What do you think that it is something that is possible? It's a possibility, of course.
Of course. 28 years, not 28 days, nor 28 hours. Of course, I think that along the way, he might have grabbed a lot of experience enough to help him do it, in a way that will not destroy either his health or the health of the people surrounding him.
Yes, and it is important to note and to remark that this young man, after 28 years of hardship and hard labor in this domain, in transforming those waste materials into plastic, he had many expositions around the world, because it is good to know and to remark that the artwork of this man is really beautiful. You saw it. He is melting plastic waste to make to make art out of it.
Can we have some of the art on the screen?
Yes, if the production can help us and give us some images of this production while we are talking, it would be a great thing. But since Mr. Perchando, you were talking about the how can I say it? About the Mindoubé place here in Gabon, where dirt has stocked into mass. This week, the Minister of Interior, Mr. Joel Matata, to whom we say good evening, and we hope he's listening to us, in order to copy the example of South Africa, or this South African young man was taking measures this week to tackle the problem of Mindoubé, which is becoming a real matter for the environment and for the people living around this discharge. Do you think that those resolutions or measures taken by the Minister of Interior are going to be effective?
Well, I hope they will be effective, because we are living into an organized society. And in an organized society, the authorities have their role to play. And I think that since people have been already having cancer, if you go around this area, because I have some people living around there, if you go there, you will see how huge is the mountain. I will call it a mountain. At the beginning,
a mountain of dirt.
A mountain of trash.
Yes, we saw the images on the national television during the summit or the forum or the discussions organized by the Minister of Interior. The discharge is really a problem in Mindoubé.
Very, very big. And a lot of people there are dying from lung cancer and from other diseases linked to this trash. And I think this is actually attracted the attention of the authorities. And if they have decided to take such measures, I hope they will be implemented.
Yes, of course. But now that you're talking about the authorities, I don't like when people always think that we should rely on our leaders, that we should rely on the authorities before making our society or our social environment to be developed. We have this example, this keen example of Mr. Bongeni Buthelezi in South Africa, who didn't wait for the authorities to help him develop his art. And it took him a long way to realize this project. What do you think? Should the authorities always be the people to bring solutions to problems, while all of us, we live in the society? And for example, for Gabon, that Mindoubé discharge is a problem for everybody. Why is it that we don't have this spirit of youths to change things and help the authorities, wait for the accompaniment of the authorities after we take actions first for ourselves?
For me, I think the example of Mr. Buthelezi cannot be applied to the situation of Mindoubé discharge. For Mindoubé discharge, it's like a land distribution problem, or maybe the population should be removed from that place, to be settled in another place.
Yes, it's not to curse you, but the Minister of Interior, just like you, was saying that is also an issue, that people should live around that discharge. They are not supposed to be inhabitants around that place. So I think measures will be taken to displace those people. But what would they become? Where would they go to?
I'm not here to talk about politics or to criticize the action of the government.
Me neither.
But for me, I think the Mindoubé problem has not been the number one concern, of the priority of this government. They would have, done more by instead of destroying, places where it was not necessary. At the beginning of, let's say, the term office of the current president, he would have maybe taken this matter with great care. Removing the population and relocating them elsewhere around Libreville. So there are a lot of places here to settle people in Libreville. So it's not, for me, a big issue. If we can just remove people and enlist and then maybe stop disposing, stop using this discharge again in order maybe to live, to let the time to revive it, or, But for me, the number one is just to remove people from this area, because it's not acceptable for people to be living close to,
to
The
dirt,
trash.
to that mass of dirt. But you know, saying that it is not a priority of the government, you know, there's somebody who said it is always late. It is always better to take actions late than never. Now that they have taken they have taken the consciousness to tackle that issue and thought about those populations living in that area, don't you think it is a major step?
Yeah, it is. It's something to be encouraged. And also, maybe I'm not up to the news. I'm not really updated. But I don't know which kind of measure they have taken so far. Maybe you will inform me afterwards. But any measure related to solving this problem should be encouraged, you know, because we are waiting. I'm not living in this area, but maybe I have a relative or close friend living in the area. So it's something which is very, very, very important as a problem to be solved quickly. If they are doing things in this direction, for me, is to be encouraged.
So before we move to the next topic of this debate, what do you want to tell young Africans? What do you want to tell young Gabonese, because we are broadcasting from Gabon? What do you want to tell all those youths who face not only pollution problems, but who are still waiting on the authorities after seeing the amazing portrait and the works of these young South Africans? What is your message, Mr. Pachano?
Actually, my message is very clear, and it is very simple. Money, somebody was telling me money is everywhere. Money is actually everywhere. And Buthelezi actually, I may guess that he might have been living into an environment where, you know, trash were all around the place. And of course, regarding this...
And that may be the reason who raised his awareness about this problem.
Of course, this is what I would like to say, that, of course, he saw money into the trash. He saw money into the dirt. He saw money into all of this. And so he said...
He saw job creation.
He saw solutions to problems. Of course, solutions to problems. And what I would like to raise here is that actually he's not surely, he might be a pioneer, but in 28 years, he might have had the time so far to train a new generation. He might have the time to also offer jobs to other people. That is to say that money is in the trash.
Age or even less older.
Or even less older, you see. And also that if we like to bring it back to Gabon, what I would like to say is that I would like to tell to my young brothers and sisters who are currently watching me that money, you know, has no color. And this young guy there is certainly making a lot of money. And so what we have to do is not always to wait solutions to be brought to us by the authorities. Ourselves, we can take actions. And this is an action which is really to be encouraged.
Which was taken by a citizen Lambda, because we didn't learn that he had any accompaniment from anybody. It is an issue, and it is a solution that he brought and he put into action by himself.
That's it. So as a conclusion to this particular point, before we jump to the following one, what I would like to say is that job creation is possible. And we don't always have to, you know, we've had a very bad habit, you know, in the past. Yes. Always go to school, you get the degrees, and after the degrees, you look for a job, and you sit down home to wait for them to call you. Now we have to take action and also participate into our economy. So opportunities are everywhere.
And you, Mr. Nidegaya Bulungi, what is your message?
Well, as an entrepreneur, I would say that first entrepreneurship starts with a question, how can I be useful to humanity? And then this is an answer given by Mr. Buthelezi, because he has, you know, given an answer to that question. So it's all about imagination, and we have to train our young people to be to imagine, you know, to be inspired. Because like Gauthier Pachano said, the guys saw the opportunity in a place where no one could imagine that, you know, it could make profit out of this. So and also perseverance. You see, the guy has been working for 28
years, and he didn't even feel discouraged at any time.
Of course. So he had a dream. So I just want to tell young people to keep their dream, and then it's possible to achieve one's dream. So it's not all about starting something and getting the results straight after. No, people have to keep working, and think about their success, to be patient enough.
And have to be more optimistic.
More optimistic, and the bright future will come afterwards. So this is my message. And money is, like you said, is everywhere. It's just
has no color.
We have to teach them how to look around, how to detect the opportunity in any situation. And this is my message.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you got it. We have given all advices. We have decrypted and analyzed this situation. And now we are talking about another success story in the TV show. Wherever he goes, Ahmed Silla wins success. The young comedian born in 1990 was born in Nantes in France. He is a Senegalese immigrant from parents who immigrated to Paris, to France in 1990, where he was born, has always been the cloud of the family, his classmates and teachers. Irresistible will undoubtedly be the qualifier that defines him best. His humor, his good mood overcomes everything that he does, and nothing resists his disarming charm. Definitely Ahmed Silla with a big A. It's a different story to discover urgently. Ladies and gentlemen, watch the report.
Je t'ai pas dit? Ah bah je te le dis.
Ahmed Silla, 27 years old, lives in a popular district, Les Dervalières. With the multicultural environment in which he grew up and put at the service of his acting, Ahmed became aware of his ability to play instinctive, his humor on the skin, and his predilection and his love for comedy. Whether in front of the bathroom mirror, his classmates and teachers, or his family, Ahmed cannot help but draw attention by interpreting characters.
Bonjour madame, oui. Ça va? Alhamdulillah, ouais, ça va bien. Vous regardez les ceintures? Oui, allez-y madame. Madame, ça dépend, hein. Si c'est pour chicoter les enfants, je vous conseille la ceinture avec le fer de cheval. Hein? Ah bah avec ça madame, le petit galopin va filer au trot, hein.
More comfortable in the theater than in classrooms, this young Senegalese left for Paris naively in 2010 to try to achieve his deepest desire, to make comedy. It was in college at the age of 14 that Ahmed discovered the theater. After some videos recorded in his room by his little brother and posted on Facebook, Ahmed is noticed in the same year and then occurs on prestigious scenes like Bobino or the Casino de Paris. After open scenes, he made a name for himself before creating with his brother Moussa Silla his first one-man show, rehabilitated since 2015. On November 5, 2011, everything accelerates with the adventure On ne demande qu'à rire on France 2, where his polymorphic personality takes all the screen. In addition, this young man talented to improvise with the public caused sensation on January 5, 2017 on M6 during the first issue of the French adaptation of Saturday Night Live, parodying along with Gad Elmaleh the program An Intimate Ambition by Karine Le Marchand. In black leather dress and wig, he perfectly imitated the gestures, the tone, and emptiness of the presenter's questions. A few months earlier, it was the whole audience of Le Marrakech du Rire that was conquered by this showman. His performance on stage of the Palais Badi gave rise to a deserved standing ovation that brought tears to the eyes of this great young man. Invited for the first time to this festival organized by Jamel Debbouze, he was shown as the most beautiful discovery of the evening, especially for his hilarious imitation of Didier Deschamps, coach that never gets upset of the French football team. In recent years, I watched Le Marrakech du Rire on TV and I saw all the shows of Jamel Debbouze. Being here is a victory for me, he explained with emotion. With his enchanting smile like that of Omar Sy, his Jim Carrey gestures, and his sense of improvisation, this comedian has propelled himself into the courts of comedians to follow. His one-man show, Ahmed Silla with a big A, filled the halls all over France, and the young comedian was in January 25, 2017 in the movie poster of Ludovic Bernard with the premonitory title, The Ascension.
Je me présente, messieurs, dames, bonsoir, les membres, les souris des membres. Je suis Miss Soda Fanta Coca-Cola. J'ai actuellement 23 ans et demi. Inch'Allah, je vais avoir 23 ans.
With my brothers and sisters, we lived in a sensitive city, but we were educated in private Catholic schools because my mother was committed to giving us the best education possible, he recalls. This twofold view has undoubtedly contributed to the benevolence with which Ahmed Silla evokes sociological differences. Beyond his comic strength and his presence so obvious on stage, this young artist has a sweet madness and sympathy so endearing that his characters I remember. Be it a parody on his Senegalese father, a seller in the market, or even also Canadians Michel Courtemanche and Jim Carrey, among others, who mainly base their humor on an effective gesture that Ahmed is particularly fond of. Ahmed Silla, a former entertainment center animator, was particularly keen on his element. This final is like what I am, an eternal child who has dreams and who is dreaming.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It was complicated for you to understand because he was talking in French, but this guy is really amazing and incredible. Really, he's doing something that is really rare today, and the way his story began, that is the most amazing part, by a video shot by his little brother, Moussa Silla, who just put it on Facebook, and he attracted millions and millions of televiewers. What is your opinion about this particular channel?
My very opinion about it is that, you know, professionalism is not something that we have to give you as a title. Okay, you can be at home, you can be professional, like you master your activity pretty well. And I think that since he was like not known already, it was not known already by the public, but it was already professional, because can you just imagine a video shot by his little brother who's not a professional cameraman.
And he was 14 years old at the time.
14 years old
when he shot his first video. And today he is an actor. He has already produced 2 movies where he has the first role.
Yeah, that's really incredible. So that's really incredible. And it reminds me of something. Last time I was attending this Charlie. He had a conference, and I went there. I was attending, and he was talking about being passionate of what you do.
Charlie Chach?
Yeah, Charlie Chach. I mean,
we greet Charlie Chach on this set because he is also one of the animators of a program on Label TV. That was a shout out.
Of course, and he was saying that you have to really be fond of what you do. And I think this is a very great example because, you know, being professional at the age of 14 years old, like, having the capacity of attracting millions, I mean 7 million, right?
Yes,
7 million viewers. I think
on social network, it's not easy.
It's not really easy. Congratulations, really, this is a great achievement.
To add to what Gauthier Channel was just saying, another part of this, of the amazing story of this young man is that he started this just like a joke. He didn't like going to school, no matter the fact, yes, he preferred doing humor, making people to laugh, than to go to school, sit on benches and study. So there's a real love out of this. It is passion.
Passion, yes, of course, because you need to be passionate of what you're doing. This is the core, the starting point of success.
The key of success.
Yes, of course. but humor or being you know, comedian,
hilarious.
Yes, hilarious is not something that you learn. You know, to do, but
it has to be inborn.
But yeah, of course. So it's natural, and he's not forcing things. He's just doing because it's natural. So congratulations, and then he has to continue doing this, maybe to inspire, like I used to say, young people. But you know, Africa is a thriving continent. When I see young African doing such interesting and very funny things like that. So I'm very happy and proud to be African.
And what I would like to add, if I may, Eva.
Of course.
What I would like to add is the way he embodies the character that is given to him. Did you see the way he was into the shape of the woman? He was into the skin of the woman.
I am going to expose a little bit Mr. Need Gael Bulungi. When he was passing, he said he's beautiful.
Yeah, of course.
He's beautiful. He didn't say he's handsome. He said he's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
You know, it's not all about the makeup. You know, it's not all about the makeup. It's also has something to do with the smile, the way you blink your eyes, and it has really everything.
The way you take into your person the different characters you're trying to restitute to the people. That guy, and the last sketch that he was doing, because it was in French, it's important to tell our televiewers that he was interpreting his grandfather who immigrated to France in the early 90s and who was in the French army. And he went to meet his grandfather and was like telling the grandfather, I want to be a comedian. The grandfather told him, you want to be a comedian because you want to attract girls? If you want to be a comedian to attract girls, you better be an army man, because me, when I was at the army, I attracted many girls because army men are full in physical potential and everything. He's crazy. The guy is crazy.
He's really, really, really wonderful. Yeah, it's really wonderful. And one more thing I would like to say is that he's young. You know, because when I see
he's 27
just 27 years old, and 27 years old, he already has such a success. You see, so this is something to be really applauded.
More important to note is that he is having such a success and this successful story, but I think it is rather unfortunate that he does not exceed on the African continent as an African.
Yeah, that's the point.
Well, it's not a mistake as such. It's not his fault. If he was born in France and then he grew up there,
of course.
So maybe he's like a French born, and so he has the French culture, but maybe he has to share his experience with African people. Sometimes to come like the Marrakesh Rire, which is something a very good initiative to
which
encourage.
Was initiated by an Algerian, Jamel Debbouze.
Yeah.
That's it.
Moroccan, I meant to say, yes. Thank you.
maybe he can draw young African people with him, showing how to do the job, or maybe coming back to Africa to do some shows, or even why not investing in Africa. That would be very interesting for the continent. But for me, he's French first, because he was born there and he has the French culture.
No, for me, it's not really French.
I think he's French.
Just allow me to
Senegalese origin.
Yeah, of course. You see, and
but the origin for me doesn't matter. It's the place where you were born, and where you have everything, related to. If your friends, your habits and your culture.
But I think it will have been preferable for him, to be in Africa. I will take an example, right? I will take the example of this wonderful singer that I really love. His name is Youssou N'Dour. You know what Youssou N'Dour does?
Of course.
He does not need to. He's a worldwide star. Okay, he's a worldwide star. And with the first the title, that was 7 Seconds. He had such a planetary fame.
Of course, he is one of the most renowned artists in the world, in the African continent.
And you know what is really important about him, or what is really interesting about him, is the fact that he does not need to live in Europe. He does, when he has a concert, either in America or in Europe or wherever, he goes. He does not even sleep there. After performing, he takes the plane back home.
Gauthier, Youssou N'Dour's success started in Africa.
Yes.
And where he was born, you understand? So it is a little bit different.
So he has that attachment to the African continent. Yes,
this attachment. That's why I was saying that it's not because you are born from African parents that you are automatically African. African American are not Africans. They don't even feel like being African.
I think now there is a problem of recognition. It's like he doesn't feel African because
he doesn't have any attachment.
He doesn't have any attachment.
Above his nationality, above his origins, he doesn't have any real attachment.
With Silla, it's different. It's different. Why? Because even the way he speaks, you can feel some Senegalese accent coming out.
Of course, and he was even demonstrating in one of his sketches a Senegalese retailer who was selling products in the market.
I think he's trying to sound like a Senegalese. But I think his first accent is French. I've never heard him speaking. But
Never heard him?
Yeah, I can
no,
bet.
Of course, he speaks like a French. He speaks like the French.
Of course,
but
he's trying to imitate
there's something
African
from
or
which you can
Senegalese
tell.
accent.
I tell you, I know the guy, because I first discovered the guy while he took part into the 2016 Marrakesh Diria organized by Jamel Debbouze. And his appearance is where I discovered the guy. And of course,
sorry, it's not to cut you short, but it is during the 2016 Marrakesh Jury that he was discovered by the producer of the movie L'Ascension, and that he got the first role in that movie because of everybody that watches that guy's sketches or that watches him on set is amazed by his emotions, by his smile, and by his way of taking into person the different characters who he's trying to incarnate.
That's it. There is also another point that I wanted to raise. I think this point is very, very interesting because it has to do with immigration. You see, when a young African on the continent sees such an African having such an influence in France
and
fame, he says, wow, here we don't have opportunities. Maybe I should go to France so as to have such fame. And then what will he do? He will take the trip to Libya. He will take the trip to Libya where he will get enslaved. And, I think what I want to say is it will have more impact on Africans if he was performing in Africa, investing in Africa and doing all those things in Africa.
And we have examples like Ivorian Michel Gou. We have Marcel de Souza. We have that guy from Gabon.
Omar Defunzu?
Omar Defunzu. We have many humoristic artists on the African continent who have accumulated great successes too.
Eva, I think the example that all of you both are taking are like different from
Silla.
Yes, Ahmed Silla's example. You were talking about Go, who is in Ivory Coast long since, and then we were talking about Omar Defunzu. The guy has just traveled to France, maybe just some years back. He developed everything here in Gabon. So we just wish it would have been preferable for him to be born in Africa, to grow up in Africa and to start his success from Africa. But now he was born in France and he did everything in France, so we can maybe not impose, or suggest him to come to Africa and do that and invest, and then, it will be difficult for him. It's like changing continent, changing origin, and changing lives at a certain extent,
No, changing origins, I'm not totally in accordance with what you're saying, although I get the point you're trying to make, because you don't change your origins. I am, for example, I'm a Cameroonian, I live in Gabon, but I don't consider myself either as a Cameroonian or Gabonese, I'm an African.
But your attachment are in Cameroon, maybe?
Of course, but I can as well leave Gabon and go and live in Senegal, for example. I can leave Gabon and go and live in South Africa because I feel African. I have an attachment with all the African countries. We have other success stories who marked that a man like Jean-Michel Cancan of Cameroon, who was a great humoristic artist who most of our parents fell in love with because of his different sketches. But when you have some stories like that of Jean-Michel Cancan, Michel Gou, and all the other great talented African humorists who even go to Europe and come back to Africa, why don't you think that it is important for somebody like Ahmed Silla to mark the culture of his continent?
My point is like first being born in France, growing up there, and then moving from France to Senegal, which is different. So if you were born in Senegal, and then you go to France, and then you come back, this is what you're talking about.
Of course.
It's something that is easy to do.
Sure. It's true, but it's easy on the way. We can say that we are not at the place of Ahmed Silla, but all we can say is that he is a great artist. And Mr. Perchano, talking about Ahmed Silla, you were telling me before we came and said about something which occurred during the Marrakesh Jury, which really touched you emotionally.
Yeah, of course. What really touched me emotionally is when he finished his performance. Of course, he had such a great standing ovation that himself, he was even astonished. He was astonished, and then he started shedding tears, you know, on the stage. And I was really touched by the way he really performed, by the way he really made people okay. You see, people were, that guy, where is he coming out of? Where is he from? Who is that guy? And it's even from there that he got the contract of
L'Ascension.
Of L'Ascension movie. You see, I was really touched by the way people, and that was even the best. That was the best performance
of the evening. Yes, he was named the best performance, and he was saying that he said equally that night that he was crying because he was near his idols, just like Omar Sy was another African who also grew up in Europe and made a name there. What I also think is rather unfortunate about this, Mr. Perchano, is that even as far as his idols are concerned, he names people like Eddie Murphy from America, Jim Carrey from Canada. You have Omar Sy, who is also a French national, although he's an African from origin. But he doesn't talk about all these great humoristic artists who we have on the comedians we have on the African continent. Is that not defavorable for the culture of the African continent?
Of course it is. Of course it is. You know, in Africa, we have to admit it. Africa is a land of talent.
Of opportunities.
Is a land of opportunities, and in Africa we have great examples. Okay, it will have been good for him to, you know, cite certain of our artists here. We have great artists like Go Michel. I think Go Michel has passed away.
No,
don't say that.
Don't wish that. He is still very active, and he has a program on the television because of advertisement. We're not going to cite the name of the TV, Le Parlement du Rire, which is also a program which is really...
I think I followed into the trap because I saw the announcement over Facebook, and I was like, my God, I was about to cry. I was like, my God, how come is it possible? And I believed it, so I think you're
mistaken with those ones that also made us to vibrate with their humor. Siriki and Suke, I think one of them is dead. Maybe you were mistaken between those, those two. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this program. It is time to thank my major guest on this set. We had, as I was saying, Mr. Nid Gael Bulungi, who is an entrepreneur and swan interpreter in Gabon. We thank you for coming, Mr.
Thank you.
And on my right, you had Mr. Gauthier Perchano, journalist for Label Radio and Television. Thank you, Gauthier.
My pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, you meet us next week, same time, 4:30 exactly, on Label TV, your Pan-African channel, for another edition of your program, your TV show program, which decrypts, analyzes, and brings to you major information on the African continent, made for Africans and for Africans. You were watching Label Television 7th round. I was your humble host, Evan Bala. I wish you a very, very, very wonderful weekend and wonderful beginning of week. Goodbye.